2011 Hyundai Sonata. Sorry, my S fell off. We're doing rear brakes on this car right now. We're doing the driver's side. Driver's side brakes is complete. And let me show you a little bit about what's going on here. We installed new rotors. Customer took them down to the metal. So the rotors were completely destroyed. Here's one of the pads. Barely lining left on that one. And the other one's around here somewhere. It doesn't have no lining. But we went ahead and installed new rotors and new pads. You can see the thickness on the pads where they should be. The actual backing plates of the brake were all the way touching the rotor, and it was really bad. I'm going to show you the rotor right now. As I got into this job, I thought it was just a regular pulling caliper off, caliper bracket, and screws for the rotors and swap the rotors. But turns out on this model, you have to undo the strut. Back there's a bolt. You see the bolt down there? And then you also have to undo this bolt and take it out. The way the factory had it, they had the bolts coming this way. I flipped them around and stuck them in this way so that next time the strut doesn't have to come off. The reason the strut has to come off is the bolt's so long. You can even see that if you pull it straight back, the bolt, it runs right into the strut. So that's why you got to pull that bottom bolt off and push the strut sideways, because you can see where it'll go sideways, and then the bolt will come out, and that bolt holds this arm on, which goes way over there. So that has to do with alignment, I guess. And so I went ahead and switched this bolt back the other way. So that's my tip for the day. After reassembly, flip this bolt around so that next time you don't have to pull the strut off. That should have been the way the factory did it. Anyways, the reason we're doing that is because, okay, you can see here, let's see, here and here, you can take the caliper bolt off, the caliper will come off. But when you take the caliper bracket off, you can see, let me see this. Here's the bolt for the upper caliper bolt. But when you go down there, the caliper bolt down here is right in back of this bar. There's no way of sticking a wrench in there or a socket unless this bar is out of the way. So the reason of taking this bolt out is to lift or lower this bar to get access to the bolt that's behind there. It's hidden. So you see it right there? And it's so sunk in you can't get a wrench on it. If you try, I guarantee you'll strip it. Please don't put a wrench on that. And what I'm going to do is, since this side is a finished product and I kind of discovered my way through the process, I'm on my way to do the other side. And now that I know how to do it, I'm going to make a video for the other side. So I'm going to give sizes of bolts and tools that you're going to need to take them off. Alrighty, so I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to switch over, put this wheel back on. First I want to show you the rotor. I'm going to go over here. And just to give you some info, AutoZone offers a package deal when you buy pads and rotors. They'll sell to you as a kit. And so that's something to look into. I don't have the kit number. I mean, they sell them piece by piece, but since you get it in the kit, it's a little bit more cheaper. And here's my old one. It is like a cheese grater. Here's the back side, also like a cheese grater. So we had to change these rotors. And so now we're going to put the other wheel on and take this one off, and I'll show you step by step how to take this apart. Okay, we got the wheel off. This is the old stuff. Oh my goodness, they took it down in the metal on this side too. That's what it looks like. You can see that This backing plate's down to the metal. That one has a little bit of lining left. So these bolts right here are 14 millimeters. We're going to take those off first. This one and this one. That releases the caliper off of the braking system. So we're going to take that off first. And be very careful because since this one's been taken down to the metal, there's all kinds of metal shavings here, and you get those on your fingertips, and oh man, they're going to bug you. So 14 millimeters will get this and that off, and we'll take the caliper off first. Okay, we got the caliper off. What I did was I just, instead of letting it hang, I kind of laid it over there to the sides. It's a very light caliper made out of aluminum, so even if it did hang, it ain't going to do nothing to the hose. But a lot of mechanics disagree with me and say you got to hook it onto the spring, and oh, there's no spring on this one, it's just shot. But you got to hook it onto something so it doesn't hang, or else it will put stress on the hose. So I just went ahead and laid it over there. Next I'm going to do is I'm going to pop these screws off the rotor, this one and this one. What I use is a big Strut screwdriver that has a hex deal on it. You see that hex deal? Mine's I believe it's a 12 millimeter, so that I can put some extra torque in it when I'm trying to take these screws off. But on the other side I didn't have too hard of a time getting them off. But I have to do it with two hands, so let me pause the video and then I'll get that off. Get the screws off so that the rotor's ready to come off. Okay, I guess somebody did do these brakes before, because when I look back there, this bolt's already set up where the bolt comes out this way. So on this side we're not going to have to take the shock off. Somebody must have worked on it before and flipped it around in reverse and didn't put this bolt back in right on the other side. So I went ahead and corrected it, and this is how it's supposed to come out. So this bolt right here is a 19 millimeter. 19 millimeter here, 19 millimeter there. Stick a 19 millimeter wrench on this side. I'm going to use an impact gun to bust it off on this side and try to unscrew that thing out. But there's a little bit of tension on this rubber bushing, so it may have a little bit of a work to get this one out to come all the way out. But once you get it out, you just stick a pry bar in there, pull it up, and it'll move it out of the way to get that bolt that's in there, so you can see right there. So let's do that next. Okay, we got that bolt out. I'll show you how to pull that bar up. Stick this in here. As you can see, that's where the bolt is at. Stick this in here. Pry up on it. That out. So now you got some room to work with to get that bolt out. So I'm going to get this caliper bracket off next. Okay, after you get that off, just to let you know, those two bolts that get the bracket off are also 14 millimeter. And we got those out. The caliper came off fairly easy. You can see how that pad went to the metal. This pad didn't. So we're going to make sure everything's lubed up pretty good before you put it together, because that's usually a sign that they're not wearing evenly, that one side's getting a little sticky. So now you can just grab and pull your rotor off and see what it looks like. I'm not doing the e-brake. My e-brake looks fairly new. I measured up some new e-brakes to the old ones, and they're like 1 or 2 thousandths difference from the thickness, so I'm not going to take it off yet. So we're just going to put new rotors on it. That's how you disassemble it, and I'll show you as we're reassembling it. First we're going to clean up the rotor here to get all the oil residue off of it, or else it'll start making your rear brakes smell, and it'll be burning the oil that's on it and contaminating the pads, and it'll ruin them, and you'll have to change them again. So please make sure you use some brake cleaner and wipe up the rotor before you install it. That way it's nice and dry when it goes back together. Okay, we're gonna put the rotor on first and then add the 2 screws. Okay, we got the new rotor on. I want to stress that please not forgetting to take the rubber plug off your old rotor. That's where I pulled it off at right there. And stick it on the new one. That's like a dust cover so it doesn't get dirty in there. Well, it gets dirty in there anyways, but that's what it's for. So put the rubber plug on it. There's the 2 Phillips screws. The rotor's already installed. Next, we're going to install the caliper bracket. And then, and remember, that's 14mm bolts to install that. Well, I do want to put the tin plates on first, because it's easier installing it when it's on your hand. So let's put those tin brackets on first. Okay, we installed the brackets, or I call them tensioner tins, but we got these tins installed. This is how they go. Okay, now we're going to install this to the rotor, or to the knuckle for the rotor. Okay, pretty much got the bracket on. There's that bolt right there. 14mm. The bolts are the same length, so we don't have to worry about swapping them around. And just make sure your shims are still nice and tight. They may move when you're trying to install it. And now we're going to push that back in its position and put that bolt back in. And that bolt again is 19mm. Okay, now that bolt is back on. Torqued it down pretty good. Now we're going to stick the pads back on. And the way I did the other side, the pad that has the shim, which is... let's find that real quick. Okay, got the pads out. What I was trying to tell you is, see that one that has that clip? That one goes on the back and it goes in the down position like this. And then this one, just go with the curve of the rotor and get that one in there. So we're gonna get those on there next. Okay, we got those on there, and be sure that they go on flush. You don't want no opening here in this area of the pad. You can see that they're pretty much flat. Okay, next we're gonna take the caliper here, and we're gonna squeeze this piston in. And I usually use a little tool like this. Squeeze it in, get it down to its smallest position, get it in there, and this will hold part of the caliper on here. And then while the other piece pushes on there, what you're going to do is use one of your old brake pads to push on that piston, or else you'll chip it, because this piston right here is made out of plastic, so you got to be very careful with it. Okay, cool. We got the piston in. Now we're going to install the caliper onto the caliper bracket and pads. Okay, there's a spot on my camera that has a discrepancy. These rubber deals right here that slide in and out this way were greased up. I didn't catch that on camera. Apologies. Got it cleaned up as best as I could. Caliper's on, and the 14mm bolts that hold the caliper are torqued. And that is the finished product. So, yeah, getting that caliper bracket off is a little bit of a pain. It's got an extra 2 steps, but oh, and once I got this bar in here, that bushing's kind of at a slant, so you gotta jam it in there a little bit and then help it out with a screwdriver by hitting one side to straighten it up. And that's about all the tips I have, and this is the finished product. This is for the 2011 Hyundai Sonata GLS. And there's the car right there. And we are done. We're just going to put the wheel on, take it for a test drive, make sure there's no noises, and we are good. Okay, everybody, I hope this video helps you out. And gets you to do your job a little bit more quickly, as you know what you're doing already. Alrighty, peace out.